Good morning. Today we're going to be taking a look at how we can use Swift to make methods that have parameters and how we can use those parameters then make different decisions based on the results of what's inside them. We're also going to use this to build some stuff with using emojis. So let's go ahead and take a look at the code that we have happening here, talk about how the Swift language works, and then do a quick little demo for it. As you can see right here, I've inside a playground. I've got it all collapsed down, so it's not easy to see, but we can actually just talk about the structure of the code first before we move on. The first thing we have, of course, is our visibility or access control. Visibility modifier is what we use in Java, and so I use that all the time, even in Swift as well, but the access control is the formal name for it, and it's aka who can see this. Right now this is private, so this can only be seen by the file in which it resides. The next thing we have is func. That's the keyword that Swift uses, of course, to demonstrate that we're actually writing a function or method, so it's always going to be there automatically on all the functions that we make that actually do something, so actions. Then we have our method name. Now again, remember, when you're writing a method name, you really want to make sure that those names themselves reflect what you're doing and what the actions are involved. In this case, I'm generating a random emoji. And so the generate random emoji, just that name right there, you can get a good idea of what's going to actually happen inside the method itself because we know what we're talking about. Now in Swift, we have the really powerful feature of the multiple names for the parameters. I'm giving a demonstration right here with this. So generate random emoji of type and then emoji type. The first one we have is the outside name or the outer name or the parameter name, so of type. And then when when I'm actually working with the code inside the method itself, I can use a name that more reflects how I'm going to refer to it in here. And so this time it's emoji type. They're both of type string, and then it returns a string. So we can see right there what's happening. As you can see right here in lines 35 through 40, we can see examples of using that. So I'm using the exterior name, generate random emoji of type, and then I pass it a blank string or an empty string, and then print that result. Generate random emoji of type symbol, and generate random emoji of type face. And as you can look over here, I have a nice little happy face. It looks like I've got a gondola and a ladybug. Oh, cool. So I have some information here that I can use to get an idea of what's going to happen inside the app just by looking at the execution and the name. And so generate random emoji, I know I'm getting an emoji. And then when I give a symbol, I get some symbol type emoji. And when I put face, I get a smiley face of some form. Nice. Okay, it's a great way we can take a look at this. And it's returning a string because emojis are strings in Swift as well as Java. And so it's a quick way you can actually do some cool stuff with that. The reason we're doing this right here is we want to talk about when we're making some projects, especially for CSP and when you're making as part of your create task, one of the things you have to do is you have to actually make a method that takes parameters and call it multiple times and gives different results each time or different times when you call it, so based on the information supplied. The best way to do that is by sending information and making decisions based on those parameters. And so we're giving this as an example so you can start building your create task on right now. So you can start thinking about how you want to make an application that can do something based on the input that's provided. And that's what we're doing right here. We have a method that takes a parameter and we'll call it with different values to see different results and use that in our actual project later on. Right now, this is just a quick one. It's a demo. It's not going to count for the project, but it's how we can actually create a method that takes parameters and gives different answers based on what's going to happen with it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the code itself and see how that's set up. So I'm going to open up this code. I'm using a Swift let, which is a one-time use variable. And so I have let being start and range. They're both of type int. And I don't give a value to them yet because I'm using them later on in the code, but I'll use only those two variables and they only get one value assigned. So that's why I'm using a let on them. I have an if-else sequence that I'm looking at to use decisions based on the parameter. And again, you can see right here on my exterior parameter, when I call it outside, I use of type. But when I refer to the parameter on the inside, it's emoji type. So I'm actually using a better name that reflects what's happening for the outside versus the inside. So the interior name of the method of the variable works really well for inside the block, and the exterior name works really well when I'm calling that. So this is a way it allows me to have a better designed method name structure. So it more reflects like, oh, when I'm using it on the outside, this is how I'm going to reflect it here. But when I'm using it on the inside, it means this over here. And so you do some great stuff with that. It's one of the reasons I really like doing dev with Swift. Then after I go through the if-else block, I'm going to go ahead and go into this and do 2 lines of code to create an emoji from some answers that we're going to be looking at. The first thing is the let Unicode value. I'm going to take start, whatever value I start off with. I'm going to make a new int. I'm going to pass it arc for random underscore uniform and then initialize range as a uint32 because that's what arc for random takes as a parameter, is an unsigned int. So I'm going to take that and get some random int attached to it and squish it into and add that to start. So it gets me a new numeric value. And it's because I'm using a plus sign right here and an int, I know that start is also an int. Oh, that's right, it is. Because Swift, when we're adding numeric types, they have to be the same type. So I'm adding 2 ints together, and I'm getting me a new number. I'm going to take that number, the Unicode value, because Unicode is really just a number that we're referencing. I'm going to pass that to a Unicode scalar initializer. And so I'm going to initialize a Unicode from this. And then I have the question mark dot description, and then double question marks, and then I'm using the red demon emoji. And so what we have right here, the question mark is the unwrap. And it's like, if I get something out of this that's valid, great. I can move on and then ask for its description. But if I don't get something that's valid from this, I'm not going to even go past it. And so it's just a great way of like, oh, if I don't get anything, boom, I'm out. It's a great way to use this. It's using the Swift optionals. Check out my video on how to use Swift optionals for some more detail on that. And then the double question mark says, here's the default value just in case. So I have one right there. So one thing I could do is maybe use something that's not one of the face emojis, since we have the cute little demon face. It's nice and fun. But that's a way we can do that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the logic inside here and see how we can make this happen and see why it's going on. So the first one we have right here, emoji of type face, I set start to be 0x1f601. F's not an int. F is an integer, because what we're using right here when we're talking about Unicode, we're talking about a hex-based system or hexadecimal-based addressing system. And so to talk to those hexadecimal values, we use a hex address, in this case 0x1f601. So I'm going to use that to give a base 16 answer on that. So it's an integer, but it's base 16. So I can make that calculated. And then my range of values with faces is 79. So I have a range of values I can pick from on that, and that's what I'm doing right here. So it gives me a random number that's between 01f601 and 79 more than that. Ah, I see. We'll do the same thing over here on the else if I'm using a symbol. And that one starts off at 0 to x1f680. Oh, okay. So I can go up one more from that. And that one has a range of 70. There's 70 symbols in there we could look at. And finally, my else block, in case I don't choose a face or a symbol, I have a 0x1f400 and a range of 52. And so what I can have right here, as we look at my results back here from earlier, that ladybug is the else call, because I'm using blank, which is neither face nor symbol, because when we're using Swift, when we compare strings, we use the equals equals operator. And so that string right there, that's not either face or symbol, so I go down and I get a ladybug. If I rerun this application right here, and I reprint that, this time, I get a fishy. So I get a ladybug, then a fish. I'll rerun it one more time. And this time I get looks like a racehorse. Oh, so ladybug, fish, racehorse. Oh, they're all animals. So if I don't give it a value, I get a cute animal emoji automatically. And then when I go through and do my next one, a symbol, if I send a symbol value, oh, I've got a spaceship. Print it again, one more time. I'm really not sure what that is. That's okay. And one more time again. A car. Oh, sweet. And I've got this cute little penguin duck head. I know, it's way cool. And finally, if I send it a face and print that again, it generates a smiley face, a silly one. One more time, we get a sad face. Oh, tears. Surprise, yes. And so here we can have it so we can generate new information based on the call. And so this is a great way we can build some information. And so by doing that, if we want to have different results based on what we send as a parameter, the main way we want to do that is we want to have an if block, a way of making decisions, which is a standard way you do it. This works with Swift, this works with Java, this works with App Inventor, this works with JavaScript. You can even do this in Python if you like. But it's a great way you can make decisions and do some cool stuff. And simply all we're doing right here is we're generating an emoji to go along with our app when we're talking about data. This is how we're going to assign a different random emoji to each different line of code that we're working with. And so that's how we're going to be doing that and working with us in another project. Check out the data information app to see how we're going to use this in the next app. Thanks again. Cheers. Have a good day.